So you want the extra power and bigger screen that only an 18-inch gaming laptop can deliver. But which one should you get? In the ring, we've got Lenovo's Legion 9, Asus's Scar 18, Alienware's 18 Area 51, MSI's Titan 18, Acer's Helios 18, Razer's Blade 18, and Gigabyte's Aorus Master 18 fighting it out to be your next laptop. All of these 18-inch laptops have areas where they shine and where they suck. So we'll see which of these laptops is the best in all of these categories and award some points. Then at the end, we'll add up all the points and find out which laptop is best for you and your unique needs. Alright, let's start out with gaming performance, as that's kind of the whole point of these laptops. Here's how all 7 laptops perform in a selection of 3 different games at 1440p. Higher average FPS with higher 1% lows means smoother gameplay and fewer stutters. Lenovo's Legion 9 takes first place, followed closely by Alienware's Area 51. The average FPS is basically the same, but there's more of a gap in the 1% lows. Worst case, Acer's Helios 18 still averages 90 FPS in these 3 games, but Lenovo's Legion is 12% better, despite all laptops having the same graphics inside. The ordering changes slightly at 4K, with Razer's Blade 18 in second place, but honestly, they're all providing great performance. It's just that when you spend this sort of money, you're probably after the best. If we factor FPS from both resolutions, Lenovo's Legion 9 performed the best, followed by Alienware's Area 51 in second place, then Razer's Blade 18 in third place. High frame rates are great, as long as you don't have to spend too much money in order to get them. Right now, in early November, some of these laptops have sales while others don't. But prices and deals are going to constantly change as we get closer to Black Friday. So check out our GamingLaptop.deals website with the link below so you can save the most amount of money on your next gaming laptop. I guess my point is sales aren't constant. Without all laptops being on sale at once, it makes sense to compare based on full MSRP. Here's how much each laptop costs per 1 FPS of performance you get in games at full price. So lower results are better now. From best to worst, Alienware's Area 51 provides the best value by a fair margin, with MSI's Titan offering the worst value, as it's just so expensive. And here's how things look if we sort by sale prices. So Alienware still wins from a value perspective, with Acer's Helios 18 in second. The Helios is the cheapest of these laptops when on sale, but as we saw earlier, it also performs the worst in games too. Basically, paying less money for near best performance with the Alienware is the value move. But price to performance value only tells us part of the story. Some of these laptops cost more because they have more to offer, particularly in terms of upgrade options. Lenovo's Legion 9 is one of the most expensive options, at least without sales, but it also offers the most upgrade options. It's the only laptop in our roundup with 4 RAM slots and 4 M.2 storage slots. Acer's Helios 18 and Gigabyte's Aorus Master 18 can also take 4 RAM sticks, but they max out with 3 M.2 storage slots, which is still plenty, just not as many as the Legion. Meanwhile, MSI's Titan is the only other laptop apart from the Legion which can take 4 M.2 drives, but this year's Titan only has 2 RAM slots. It used to have 4 last gen. Meanwhile, the Scar 18, Area 51, and Blade 18 all have 2 RAM slots, with the Scar and Blade just having 2 M.2 slots. So no different from a typical 16-inch laptop. Alienware's Area 51 at least has 3 M.2 slots, but it's also the only one of these laptops without upgradable Wi-Fi. All laptops do at least come with the latest Wi-Fi 7, but the Alienware was one of the slower results, and it's the only one you'll never be able to upgrade. And special shout out to Asus's Scar for being the only laptop that lets you open it up and upgrade the RAM and SSD without any tools. In summary, if future upgrades are important to you, skip the Blade and Scar 18, but more upgrade options typically mean a bigger, less portable laptop, because they just need more space so you can cram all those extra bits inside. With the chargers included, Asus's Scar 18 weighed the least, but that said, I wouldn't call it light. Alienware Alienware's Area 51 is over 20% heavier, so although they're all relatively heavy, there's still a range of different weights available. Interestingly, Lenovo's Legion 9 is tied for thinnest laptop with Razer's Blade, but the Blade had the lowest upgrade score, while the Legion had the highest, so that's quite impressive from Lenovo. And one of the big advantages of bigger laptop is there's usually more space for cooling inside. Here's the hottest temperature we measured on the keyboard deck under sustained CPU plus GPU stress test. Gigabyte's Aorus Master felt the coolest, with the SCAR 18 and Area 51 not far behind. Only MSI's Titan was significantly warmer than the rest, which is interesting considering it's the thickest laptop too. To be fair, the hottest spot doesn't necessarily mean the area you'll be touching while gaming. In fact, all of these laptops were relatively cool on the wrist rest and WASD keys, so there's nothing too major to worry about with any of them, as the areas you'll touch while gaming aren't that warm. Though I'll note the Blade's wrist rest could feel a bit warmer, as its all-metal design conducts heat better than the rest. The SCAR 18 had the quietest fans, and it was also the second coolest feeling laptop, so a great job from ASUS as far as comfort goes. The Blade 18 was almost just as quiet, but it was the second warmest feeling laptop of the group. But the Area 51 with third loudest fans was also the third coolest laptop. Acer's Helios 18 had the loudest fans by far, with a 21% louder perceived fan noise compared to the next loudest option. And despite Acer's jet engine fans, the Helios was still the third warmest on the keyboard. Plus, the Helios was the only laptop hitting thermal throttling on the CPU and GPU in this workload. Absolutely pathetic. MSI's Titan was second hottest inside, and also the hottest on the keyboard, so not great either. Honestly, the rest are fine, but Alienware's Area 51 ran the coolest on the internal components, and it had the third quietest fans too, plus it was second best in gaming performance. So a great job there from Dell. More power equals more performance, but also more heat. The Alienware laptop ran the RTX 5090 laptop GPU with the most power, while also delivering over 100 watts to the processor. Impressive stuff. ASUS's SCAR gets the lowest amount of power to the processor out of the bunch, which helps explain why it had the second coolest keyboard temps and quietest fan noise. The trade-off is less power, and that's why it had the second lowest gaming performance of the 7 laptops. So from a comfort first perspective, both for your hands and your ears, ASUS's SCAR 18 gets the win. But if you want max performance with the lowest CPU and GPU temps, and below average fan noise, then Alienware's Area 51 is the choice. And of course, you want the thing you're actually going to be staring at for hours to look good. And I'm of course talking about the screen. The Master 18, Titan 18, Helios 18, and SCAR 18 all have mini LED screens, while the Legion 9, Blade 18, and Alienware Area 51 have IPS panels. Unfortunately, 18-inch OLED doesn't exist yet. The Titan and Helios are the only mini LED options with a 4K resolution at 120Hz, but the Helios has the added benefit of a faster 240Hz mode for esports gaming. You just have to reboot and deal with a lower, near 1080p resolution. The Blade 18 and Legion 9 might not have mini LED options, but they offer the fastest 240Hz refresh rate at 4K, and they've both got the option of rebooting into a 1920 by 1200 esports mode, and with a much faster 440Hz refresh rate compared to the Helios's 240Hz. The Legion also has an optional 3D upgrade. Long story short, it can make some games and apps look 3D, but due to the way it works, I can't capture it on camera. And the Legion is also the only one with a glossy screen, so reflections show up more compared to the other matte panels. As far as color gamut goes, honestly, they're all excellent and not really too different in practice. Colors look great on all of these screens. But if you want to split hairs, the Helios was the best, followed by the SCAR, then the Blade. Mini LED screens are typically the brightest, with the exception being the Master 18. It does get brighter with HDR on, but most of the time you'll probably be using the laptop in SDR mode. mode. The Scar and Titan are basically tied for brightest screens, but I'm giving the brightness win to the Scar as it can manage this in SDR mode. Though as far as SDR goes, the Titan still ends up second brightest, followed closely by the Helios in third. The IPS panels are all around 500 nits, which is decent, just not quite as bright as what Mini LED offers. Personally, I'm not a fan of Mini LED as the halo or bloom effect around objects annoys me, but ASUS's Scar 18 is the only Mini LED option that at least allows you to run all backlighting zones as if they were one, which prevents this. And that's a nice option to have available. The Blade had the fastest screen response time, which is how long it takes the screen's pixels to update when something changes. And this applies regardless of whether it's running in 4K or 1080p mode. The Legion 9 is second, with Alienware's 18 in third. But honestly, the differences are so small they're well within the margin of error range. The Mini LED panels are a bit slower, as it typically takes longer for their backlight zones to light up, so maybe not the best choice for competitive gamers. That said, at the end of the day, all of these results are quite quick for most people. The screen is a factor in the total system latency, which is the amount of time between a mouse click and a gunshot fire in Counter-Strike 2. So we're looking at the full chain rather than just the screen in isolation. Again, all results are plenty fine for gaming, but the Blade and Legion are the best when in their 1080p 440Hz modes. All 7 laptops have a MUX switch, though the Aorus and Blade can only access it through BIOS. The rest have shortcuts in software, which is just more convenient. All laptops except for MSI's Titan have advanced Optimus and G-Sync, so you can use that to get faster FPS in games without having to reboot. So the Titan is the only real loser here, and that's just embarrassing for MSI, especially considering the Titan is the most expensive laptop of the group. Not having premium features like that when you're spending over $5,000 is just insane. And as you can see, there's a lot of factors to consider when it comes to the screen. So I'm going to throw this one over to my laptoppicker.com tool. The link is below. Basically, you answer 3 simple questions, and it tells you which laptops are best for you based on our review data. Out of the 18-inch laptops, ASUS's Scar 18 gets the win for the screen, followed by Acer's Helios 18, then MSI's Titan 18. These are all Mini LED options, and it's the extra brightness that gives them the edge. Given colors were all much the same, and the differences in response times weren't that big. You might stare at the screen at the most, but it's the keyboard and touchpad you'll be interacting with the most. As for touchpads, it's of course personal preference, but I liked the Legion the most. But honestly, all of them except the Titan are completely fine. MSI's Titan just had the worst touchpad I've used in my entire life. There's a lot to discuss that's already covered in the full review, but long story short, it's shit. That said, I liked typing on the Titan the most, as it was the only 18-inch model this year I had with a mechanical keyboard, so it does also sound louder. Unlike the touchpads, I didn't have any problems with any of these keyboards. I'd just be splitting hairs with the bottom few options. I thought they're all fine. As for keyboard lighting, I thought the Blade's keyboard looked the best, as Razer just has the brightest, most vibrant lighting. The rest were fine in that regard, but MSI's was the dimmest. You probably want the rest of the laptop to feel good too when you're spending this much money. So build quality is up next. Now, this will come down to personal preference to some degree, but after using all of these laptops, I thought Razer's Blade felt the most solid, which makes sense as it's milled from a solid block of metal. Lenovo's Legion 9 comes in second, with Alienware's Area 51 in third, but honestly, none of them had too much flex or felt low quality, and you won't be using the laptop long if the battery life sucks. Lenovo's Legion 9 lasted the longest in our YouTube video playback test, followed by Razer's Blade, then ASUS's Asus's SCAR. But if gaming on battery is more important to you, then Alienware's Area 51 had the lead, followed by MSI's Titan, then it's a tie between the Legion and Master 18. 18-inch gaming laptops typically have worse battery life compared to smaller laptops, so the results from the Legion and Blade are actually quite good, but battery life hardly matters if your laptop drains all its power while it's asleep. The Alienware laptop lost the least amount of charge while asleep, yet it also has one of the smaller batteries, making this an unfair comparison due to battery capacity differences. But the rankings don't actually change if we instead compare based on how much battery power is drained per hour, which is a fair comparison. So it's a win for Alienware, followed by MSI, then Lenovo. But from there, the remaining laptops burn through significantly more power while asleep, so you'll probably want to stick to hibernating instead. And we can't forget raw CPU performance with everyone's favorite Cinebench. Although MSI's Titan is the only laptop of the lot featuring Intel's top-end 285HX processor, it really doesn't matter as it only has a 100MHz higher boost clock, and ultimately it performs the same as the other laptops with the 275HX anyway. Single-core performance is basically the same and depends on Silicon Lottery luck. All laptops were normal there, though Asus Helios was down a bit, which may be due to the slower DDR5 4000 memory as it had 4 sticks installed. Multi-core performance depends on how much power the laptop feeds the processor, and Lenovo's Legion 9 and Alienware's Area 51 basically tied for first place. And then the next 3 options are all quite close together. Realistically, all laptops provide good performance here, but the best result from the Legion was 14% ahead of the worst result from the Helios. Things change a bit if we unplug the charger and run on battery power. Well, not at the top, because Alienware and Lenovo are still extremely close together. Razer's Blade is in third place too, but only in multi-core performance. It's actually the lowest when it comes to single core. Honestly, I think it makes more sense to give third place to the SCAR, as it's only slightly behind the Blade in multi-core, but it's got a 65% higher single core score, and I would argue that's more important while running on battery power to keep apps feeling snappy. But how do the speakers sound? Well, unfortunately, I swapped from testing with Copyright Music about halfway through the year, so while I can't share fairly comparable clips for you to listen to, here's how I thought they stack up. The Legion 9 easily sounds the best, but the Master 18 and Blade 18 are close. The Titan and Area 51 sound average, while the SCAR and Helios sound bad. The ports are different too, and determine how many devices you can connect. I think some ports are more important than others, so each port has been assigned a different score showing how much it's worth on the left. All 7 laptops have an HDMI 2.1 port, 3.5mm audio jack, and Ethernet, though only the Acer and Alienware laptops have faster 5GB over 2.5 like the rest. Asus's SCAR is the only laptop without an SD card, so that's out for creators. And all laptops have Type-C charging and DisplayPort over Type-C. Most laptops have 2 Type-C Thunderbolt 5 ports, and the ones that don't have a slower Thunderbolt 4 instead. But the Legion is the only one with a 3rd Type-C port. The Aorus Master is the only laptop with 2 USB Type-A ports. The rest have 3, but in the case of one on the Helios, or all 3 on the Alienware, they're slower Gen 1. Long story short, the Legion gets the win for connectivity here, while second place is a tie between the Helios and the Titan. Then it's a 3-way tie between Alienware, Asus, and Razer. But of course, you can choose accordingly based on any specific ports you prioritize more. Each laptop has its own software control panel for managing the laptop, and some are definitely better than others. Lenovo's Legion easily has the best software in my opinion. It opens fast and it's easy to navigate through and find what you need, and it just looks clean. Asus's SCAR is in second. In the last year or two, the interface has gotten a bit busier, but it's still easy enough to find what you're after. The Helios is in third simply because it's got good features and isn't buggy. The Blade has decent options, but we've had some issues with Synapse. Alienware would probably bump up a position if its software didn't take a minute and a half to start up after boot before you can start changing performance modes. MSI's Titan is fine, but quite basic considering considering it has the best tuning options for enthusiasts in its BIOS. And the Aorus Master just felt like a mess compared to everything else. I found it hard to find what I was looking for, and a lot of the wording is just confusing. So there's definitely some personal preference to this one, and software updates come out all the time and change things. But as of right now, this is how I rank the software experience. Alright, now let's add up those points and separate the winners from the losers. Starting with last place and working our way up, we've got Gigabyte's Aorus Master 18. This laptop had the fastest click-to-screen action result in the latency test. If we don't count the 1080p esports mode some of the other models have. It had the fastest Wi-Fi, and it holds up well as far as value goes, at least when considering MSRP without sales. But that's really all it's got going for it. Otherwise, it had the second loudest fan noise, the lowest screen brightness, the slowest screen response time, the worst software in my opinion, the least useful amount of ports, the most battery drain during sleep, the second worst CPU performance, with or without the charger connected, and although build quality was fine, it's not quite as nice compared to the competition. Maybe consider the Aorus Master 18 if it's on a good sale and it does something you care about very well. Otherwise, we've got better options coming up. In 6th place, we've got Acer's Predator Helios 18, with almost the same score as the Aorus. The Helios had the best screen colors, though all laptops are quite similar in that regard, the second best upgrade options, and the second best ports, though it's bumped up a little by being one of 2 models featuring 5GB Ethernet, so depends on how important that is to you. But the Helios thermal throttles, despite also having the loudest fan noise and the lowest gaming performance. It had the most amount of latency between mouse click and action on screen, the worst battery life, the worst CPU performance, the worst speakers in my opinion, and the worst thermal performance on all 7 laptops in this roundup. I'd only consider the Helios if one of your priorities is on more upgrade options with its 4 sticks of RAM, or if you want more and faster ports for connecting stuff. Moving up to 5th place, and not much better than the others, is MSI's Titan 18. The Titan has the best feeling keyboard in my opinion as it's mechanical, but that's personal preference. It had the second highest sustained GPU power under stress test, the second least amount of battery drain while asleep, the second brightest mini LED screen, and it's got the most customization available through BIOS, with plenty of room for tuning. But the Titan is the most expensive laptop of the group, even when on sale, resulting in poor value when it comes to gaming. It's also the thickest laptop of the lot, its keyboard hotspot is the warmest by far, its touchpad is the worst I've used in my entire life, performance on battery power is the lowest of the group, and it's the only laptop that doesn't have Advanced Optimus or G-Sync, which is just embarrassing at this price point. Personally, I would take off all the points from the Titan just based on how annoying the touchpad is. But if you're always connecting a mouse, then sure, it doesn't matter. Still, it's difficult to recommend over what we've got coming up. Next up in 4th place, we've got Razer's Blade 18, which jumps up quite a lot in terms of points. Now we're getting to the good stuff. And I never thought I'd say that about a Blade, but Razer's redesigned it this year with performance in mind. Though I suppose that doesn't change how bad their support apparently is. Personally for me, I just assume all these companies have garbage support. Some people will have good experiences and some will have bad with all brands. But I digress. The Blade is the thinnest of the lot and second lightest, so a little more portable compared to the rest. It has the fastest screen response time, whether it's in 1080p or 4K mode, the best build quality as it's made from a slab of solid metal, the second best battery life, the second quietest fans, and unlike previous years, gaming performance is one of the better results too. But it has one of the warmer keyboards under load, the least amount of upgrade options, slower but still fine Wi-Fi out of the box, and fewer ports. Now, I'd consider the Blade if I wanted a solid all-metal gaming laptop that doesn't run too loud, performs well in games, and isn't quite as heavy or thick compared to the other options. Ooh, plus bottom RGB, although that turns off when you close the lid, so kind of pointless. Coming in 3rd place with almost the same score as the Blade is Asus's Strix SCAR 18. This was the lightest laptop of the group. It had the quietest fans, the brightest screen, one of the cooler keyboard hotspots, and better software compared to most of the other laptops. But its speakers don't sound as good as the others. It's one of the thicker laptops despite being lighter, and gaming performance wasn't quite as good compared to most of the others. I'd consider the SCAR if your priority is on a comfortable experience over max performance, as it runs cool and quiet and feels good. Alright, just 2 laptops left. Who's gonna be first and who's gonna be second? In second place, it's Alienware's Area 51, and this laptop surprised me because they haven't been that competitive previously. Gaming performance is great and second best, and it offers some of the best value too, especially with some of the sales we've listed on our GamingLaptop.deals site with the link below this year. It had the least amount of battery drain while asleep, the best CPU performance on battery power, though it is basically tied for first place with the Legion, and a similar deal when the chargers are connected. It offers the highest sustained GPU performance with good CPU power under load, yet it also maintains the coolest temperatures on the CPU and GPU too, all while keyboard temps remain in check without fan noise going as crazy as some of the other options. But it's the heaviest laptop of the lot, it does not offer as many upgrades compared to the rest, and Wi-Fi performance is on the slower side, and as the only laptop with soldered Wi-Fi, you'll never be able to change that. Battery life is a bit meh, and Dell needs to improve the software so it doesn't take so long to load up after boot. Those downsides considered, I can still easily recommend Alienware's 18 Area 51 to someone that wants a combination of good performance with good thermals, especially with some of the good sales Dell have been running this year, though it is also the heaviest option. That said, if you're picking a bigger 18-inch laptop, does a little extra weight really even matter at this point? Might as well go big or go home. But there might be a better option, and I'm of course talking about Lenovo's Legion 9i in first place with the most points. The Legion had the best gaming performance, the best battery life, the best software in my opinion, the best CPU performance, the most amount of upgrade options with 4 RAM slots and 4 SSDs, the best sounding speakers, the best port selection, solid build quality, strong Wi-Fi performance, a nice keyboard, fast screen response time thanks to the 1080p mode, though it's still great in the 4K mode, which also means less click to action on screen latency, and despite all that, it's one of the thinner laptops. But thinner doesn't necessarily mean lighter. All those extra features pack on weight, and the great performance comes at the expense of temps running a little higher than some of the others, though still not thermal throttling, but expect higher fan noise too. Granted, that can be fixed with some noise cancelling headphones. Consider Lenovo's Legion 9 if you want a solid all-round gaming laptop with excellent gaming performance, and the best future upgradability. Overall, out of all 7 18-inch models tested, the Legion 9 was the best, as it wins in more categories than it loses. But it is also one of the more expensive options, at least without sales. Fortunately, Lenovo does often run good sales, and you'll find the best sales on our GamingLaptop.deals website with that link below. Now, as good as the Legion 9 and Alienware 18 Area 51 are, they're not perfect. No laptop is. It's all about finding something where you can deal with the compromises. So check out their full reviews over here next to get all of the details. I go into way more depth in those, and they're worth checking out before you spend your hard-earned money on an 18-inch gaming laptop. So I'll see you in one of those next.